Don't you dare to judge my office, because I tried a lot. Supposedly activists in Vancouver are buying drugs on the dark web, testing them for purity, and then giving them away for free. Are these guys just said that they're buying drugs from the dark web? Wow. The demand is simple. Give drug users access to a safe supply of drugs so they don't risk accidental overdose with every high. Well, I don't know much about it, but there's something fishy about this. As in, I don't think people are using drugs or they are overdosing because they don't know how much they need. Maybe this is not a good analogy, but I'm gonna try it anyway. It's like you have an obese person and you're telling them, I'm gonna feed you only breakfast so you don't die of obesity. That works actually. But maybe not, because that obese person means that he or she should be locked in a room only with breakfast. And in that case, yes, perhaps they will, most likely they will not die from obesity. But if you have an addict that's free and you're giving them only for breakfast drugs, they're not gonna die of overdose. But at the same time, they're not gonna get off drugs either. People have issues with addiction because they have issue with themselves, they have issues with trauma, and they're also disconnected from themselves and the world. Someone taught me that the opposite of addiction is connection. So basically, if you are connected to something you love, or something that you would strive for, or something that you see worth it in this life, if you're connected to your God or something, truly connected, you would not spend your time escaping from the world and your life. So let's have a look at this.
Cocaine and crystal meth that's being handed out on the streets of Vancouver for free.
From this tent over here, we are distributing a safe supply of drugs. The points of drugs you will get from the boxes being distributed from that tent have been tested. This means that you are at no risk of overdosing on fentanyl, and we want this model to be legislated so that it can happen all over the place so our friends and family stop dying.
If only people would stop dying from drugs, because we're gonna give them smaller doses of drugs, thus they're not gonna die of overdose. But at the same time, someone that's using drugs are kind of like living dead. I'm not sure if this is a good approach. I'm not sure that by giving less drugs to people on the street, gonna make them disciplined about how much substance they're gonna use, because what stops them from buying more? As far as I can see, this is actually an extra supply of drugs, not a cut down. I don't know.
I'm in Vancouver, Canada, which is home to some of the most progressive drug policies in the world. And it's also in the midst of a deadly opioid overdose crisis. In 2016, the British Columbia government declared the overdose crisis here a public health emergency. Since then, more than 7,000 people have died of drug overdoses, with the majority of deaths involving fentanyl, a synthetic opioid that's up to 100 times more potent than morphine. Many of the deaths are concentrated in this neighborhood, the downtown east side, which is one of the poorest areas in Canada.
I think the only way how this would work, it would be something similar with communism, where you were allowed ratio of bread and you were allowed to go outside only between a certain period of time daily, and you didn't have access to anything unless the government would have given you. In a world full of drugs and distractions, giving them more drugs is not gonna help them not overdose. Does that make any sense? I don't know. Maybe there's something in this video that I'm not aware of, so Maybe there's something I'm missing.
This is 3.6 grams of ketamine, 3.5 grams of cocaine from the brick, 3.5 grams of cocaine washed with acetone. This is 3.1 grams of crystal meth, 3.7 grams of actual heroin, and then Xanax bars.
Eris Nix is a co-founder of DULF, the Drug User Liberation Front, a coalition of activists that has been giving out free tested drugs in the downtown East Side to demonstrate the concept of safe supply. She's ordered about $2,000 worth of drugs from the dark web that she's planning to give away after it's been tested for purity.
Why is my intuition saying that this person is actually an addict itself? Not that that changes anything, but he seems that he's on drugs as well. We don't seem to want or to know how to treat the cause rather than the symptoms. These people are using fentanyl because it's cheaper than heroin as far as I know, and because it's even stronger. Why would we give them more drugs? In order to what? To have them not die from overdose. And that's a compassionate way of dealing with people. Browsing through the dark web is not only that, the dark web has more customers now, but we're also giving this for free. From what funds? Who's funding this? Why aren't we funding this to help people, to guide them? I think it's something similar with the video I made about the homeless, where you can find it on my channel. People don't need drugs, people don't need money, and people don't need whatever they ask for. They don't know what they need, otherwise they would have it. And I think that that's up to us, the ones who are healthy, to judge things for them until they manage to clear their heads off drugs, if you will. If this person is not using drugs, this is not really responsible as far as I can judge from outside. You know, it's easier to judge when I'm here and I'm just watching 9 minutes from a clip, and then I'm coming with arguments. So forgive my ignorance. I'm just looking at one tiny piece from this person's life, and I'm judging it as irresponsible. Now, if this person, which is a woman or a man, is using drugs, well then, whatever this is expected from someone that is using drugs. I don't think you can control how much drug you're giving to people. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me something that I don't know about this. You can't control the amount of drugs people are using. Still dead. As far as I'm concerned, an addict is dead because he's not living his life. He's living dead. He's not there with his family. You know, the family can't be there for him because he's spaced out. He's not living. His body is decomposing, being alive and being eaten by drugs.
Ideal world.
In an ideal world, the government just gets out of our way and lets us open a store that is like a liquor store. And I'm like, if you guys want to tax us so you can provide healthcare and addiction services and recovery beds and all this shit, for sure, just get...
Why would we create stores with drugs to fund their addiction? That doesn't make any sense. People have issues, dude. This is not gonna work. I don't think so. I don't know. What do I know? I don't know much about the world. Haven't lived much. What do I know? Drug world is not going to want to have shops because they're going to pay taxes. You know, they don't want to sell drugs in a shop. You think if they would have wanted that, they wouldn't have had that? They don't want that. They make plenty of money like that.
Drugs into people's hands. Let us distribute them in a way where there's not going to be cross-contamination. Let us educate.
Yes, exactly. I think the only valid point is basically contamination. You do help them not spread the diseases, but as far as my brain says, that's it.
Not everyone that uses drugs has a medical disorder where they have chaotic substance use they need to rectify. You know, maybe you're someone who uses heroin once in a while for fun. Maybe you're someone who uses...
You should not use heroin for fun. I don't know. I mean, you should not use heroin for fun. You should not use heroin at all.
smoke on the weekend. Maybe you're someone who smokes crystal meth for whatever reason, but in every case,
For whatever
if you
reason.
go to the street supply of drugs, you run the risk that your drugs will either have fentanyl in them when they're not supposed to, or if you're trying to buy fentanyl, have an unpredictable quantity of the drug fentanyl in
I
them.
think after meeting with Eris and the Drug User Liberation Front, you see that there is a logic to what they're doing.
No, there's no logic. No. Why every journalist doesn't have the courage to say that, no, actually who we interview, they're kind of nuts. They're nutcases. It doesn't work. There's no logic to this. Anyone can explain to me? If I'm willing to be wrong. If you think this is any logic, just let me know.
You know, it's not like it's fun to be purchasing a bunch of drugs, testing them, labeling them, and then handing it out. It's a desperate attempt to just stop people from dying.
E-commerce.
Really? I'm not going to look at this at the end. I've had enough. Is this a desperate attempt from having people dying, or is this pretending to do something for people that are dying? But this is an easy way of telling yourself that you're helping someone when you're not. I don't know. Am I being a hypocrite? I'm always a hypocrite. Of course, that's my middle name. We all are. And I know to some degree in my life I am being a hypocrite. But until then, this is nonsense. This is... Now, don't get me wrong, but since SJW, I have an issue with protest and the warriors that they're trying to help the world by not doing much. My partner told me that if you die tomorrow, will the world miss anything from you? If not, well, that means you don't do much for the world. Or you definitely don't do as much as you claim you are. So I don't know if this person tomorrow, if she or he will die, are gonna die more people from fentanyl or less? I mean, will the world miss something? Is this a big impact that he's having over the world? I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know much about it. I'm really judging based on this tiny episode, but most likely I'm in doubt. I'm in doubt because to my logic and judgment, this doesn't work. If you're an addicted person, you have to quit. Otherwise, you will die sooner or later. That's it. And by giving them more drugs for free, you're wasting your time, you're wasting resources, you're wasting the compassion you are capable of to share drugs. Look, I've been an addict myself. And if someone would have given me what I needed when I was an addict, that would have been the best thing that day. And I would have wanted more. You know, these people are in self-pity and they think they deserve what they're asking for. Why would you give them that? Because no, they don't deserve more drugs. Okay, so obviously I'm very good to preach things and obviously not do much about it because it's easier for me to talk about it, but I'm still not fixing the drug problem. One solution that I can think about it in this moment, and I have a thing in mind for the future, is instead of dealing with adults which have already gone through trauma, they've already done a lot of harm to themselves and their family and so on and so forth. Basically, they've already been through many years of bad and tragic behavior and addiction and all that stuff. I would focus on children. I would definitely focus on their children because this goes in a chain. I watch a lot of videos from Soft White Underbelly and a lot of teenagers that live on the Skid Row are the byproduct of their parents which had similar or even worse behavior than them. So focus on the children, focus on the youth and educate and get them out of there. and guide them so they will not end up like their parents. You can't fight drugs how, you know, drugs fight you. You know, you can't go and shoot and kill drug dealers in the hope that you're gonna eradicate them all and then no one's gonna use drugs. That doesn't make any sense. Again, those are a lot of resources that they're not used how they should be used, in time, and people that are really smart and capable to invest their everything they have in genuinely helping people. So this is my opinion. It is flawed, I'm sure of it. Maybe I'm arrogant to think that I have a solution or a part of the solution. Most likely I don't know what I'm talking about. This is, like I said, this is definitely what my brain thinks. But at the same time, I do think there's something to my opinions. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the stupidity to record myself and put it out there. I hope not. I hope I'm not going to be proved wrong. I think this is all I can say about this subject for now. I am definitely interested in this. So I'm going to definitely talk about it in the future. Like always, thank you so much for giving time from their life to listen to my thoughts and having patience to make sense out of what I have to say. Thank you again for watching, and obviously if you have something you would like me to talk about, just hit me a message on social media, comment or email. Most likely I do read all your comments. I don't have time all the time to reply, and sometimes I wait to reach my laptop because I have a lot to say sometimes and I want to type. Anyway, like always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.